recording, Mrs. Ryan.
Yay, recording.
Yay.
Love the new one.
Oh, good. You know what, like the June 7th, episode 66, that's pretty funny. Hello, first of all, hello, everybody. Hi,
Hello.
Mrs. Ryan.
Hi.
How's it going? Your favorite?
It's going great.
I realized yesterday was it was June 6th,
Yeah.
and it was episode 65. It was very close.
Okay.
Today is June 7th, episode 66.
I saw a
feel like
couple.
we just sort of narrowly avoided that thing, although we
That's-
have 3 6s both times, so I would say maybe we hit it right on the money.
Yesterday there was a lot of memes about it and shit yesterday, so I'm glad we missed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yay.
hey, welcome everybody. Hello. Good evening. It is Thursday, June 7th. My name is Jay Ryan. I'm here with Nicole Ryan / Mrs. Ryan. And how are you doing? I feel good. I'm asking about how you seem like you're good again. And I'm hoping.
good again. I've gotten a good handle on it this week.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
2 days in a row anyway.
Sure. It's all about maintaining it, figuring it out every day. It's exhausting, but it's about maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, keep talking. I'm just going to... Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave you with tons of headroom there because I have a feeling that Winston Byrd is a fair amount taller than you. A little bit, right, Mr. Byrd?
Person, so yeah. Probably.
How you doing, man?
I'm good.
I'm loving your outfit. Wait till you all see him. I mean, this is like some crazy stuff here. It's awesome. You look so good. And I'm glad he brought glasses options. I'm glad you went with what you chose
Well,
there.
this is driving through a paint factory.
Yeah, you match the set. Wait till they see. All right. Well, Winston Byrd is here. Hello, Mrs. Ryan. I say that we start this thing up and get right to the news.
All right.
So, what's going on?
What's
Dun, dun,
going
dun,
on?
dun, 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 dun,
I'm so excited. I loved this part yesterday.
Oh, good. I
Watched
did
it
too. You
back.
did so good.
Mm-hmm.
Did so well.
Thanks. Okay, so do I have to lean down? I did notice I was like this yesterday.
Yeah, you
Do
shouldn't
I
have to. Yeah, I don't want you to have to.
Okay.
And if you find that you do, then we need to change the mic situation. I don't want you to have to do that.
All right,
I was doing
well.
it too, and I find that we don't actually have to.
Well, you let me
It's
know.
nice to get on it sometimes, but that's if
Yeah.
you want to. You don't have to be that way all the time.
I have horrible posture, and I was watching it, and I was like, hello.
You have the cans at least, so you can hear
do
there.
it.
And you can have them too. I mean,
I have
we've got
cans,
plenty of sets.
so
I just don't wear 'em.
ostensibly I can hear, except who knows?
All right, well, hey, what's up, Mrs. Ryan?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
All right, so the headline that I was most drawn to this morning is Columbia and Yale scientists, shout out to Kirsten from the other day, smart college people. Columbia and Yale scientists found the spiritual part of our brains, religion not required.
So how do you mean they found it? This sounds incredible. This sounds like the type of thing that somebody larger than us should be talking about.
Well, probably, except that I've said for a while now that I'm pretty sure my disease is a spiritual lack. Like that's the
Spiritual lack.
When you're growing up, you learn like math and science or whatever. I didn't learn anything about spirituality and like was anti-religion because of my experience, and so
It's like a development.
thank you. That's the word.
Now I'm falling on the word. A
Foundation.
development lack of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they did a study where they specifically tested and did like had people in like hooked up to shit and MRIs and whatever to have them go through spiritual experiences, and they figured out where it pinged in the brain.
Interesting. So they're tracking the real world, the 3D stuff that we could all see and touch, our brains and everything. They're tracking. I don't understand. So they're tracking this. Here's what it sounds like to me. Nightmare on Elm Street. You know what I mean? When she's like, oh, they go to the dream clinic to figure out what's going on with Freddy Krueger. Like, well, how does that work? You know what I mean? I don't know how they ever...
Okay.
She brings the cat out of the dream. You know what I mean? That's how it happens. But in this, it's almost the same thing. They're pulling something ethereal from something physical,
Well,
information-wise.
to say hello to Kaz, I went to college, and so
I just deleted the thing. Woo!
Blue. The truth of the matter is that scientific universities, specifically with an intent to study things like neurological whatever impairments, diseases, whatever, They have a lot of different ways of tracking, like analytically tracking things that happen in our brain. So there's constantly studies of this pinged here and this pinged here. So they have a lot of that kind of information.
Okay, so what they're doing is they're looking in the very same ways, but what they're using the same tools and same methodology to do what they've been doing, but now they're all of a sudden flicking lights on in different rooms that they hadn't illuminated before.
When I was a psych major, yes.
Wow.
The short version is yes.
Okay.
When I was
fascinating. Good topic, Mrs. Ryan.
It's so fascinating, and it's the most layman version, like, to talk about that I've found, because this is there was like a sub headline, whatever. There was like, they found a neurological home for spirituality. This is going to be the future of fixing my disease. Well, and I'm so excited about it.
It sounds like something I've heard people talk about before, about how consciousness doesn't exist in the body. You know, it's not created in the brain. The brain, it's electric. The body's electrical, and it's being run and everything, but nobody can really figure it. That movie Chappie, actually, sort of. It's a movie not many people know, South African movie, but it's one of my favorite movies ever. And I avoided it because I thought I would hate it. It looked like Transformers or something else, and I saw it, 2 years after, on a whim. And I was like, I was weeping. There's so much heart and there's so much humanity in this story about a robot, just like WALL-E. Really blew me away. But the gist of it is, they separate. There's a robot that has learned. He's got consciousness, and then how do you then transfer that into something else? How do you take that from one entity and put it in something else? And theoretically, I guess you're talking about living forever.
Well,
in this game and this sim.
If you buy into that method, there's a word, but if you buy into that system, like, that's where it's going. That's written, and it kind of, one of my other headlines.
I was going to say, let's move on. That's good job. Good job.
I will probably bring that up again. So, but it sends questions because it helps me to kind of parse through, like, what's actually relevant. So
yeah, other people's questions help your research, right?
Yeah, because then it takes it out of, like, is it just important to me, or is it actually, like, relevant to people?
Right.
Because I'm pretty narcissistic, and I think everything that's important to me is important to everyone. It's not.
Even about your narcissism, you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking about myself, and I don't want to do that.
Totally. It's the worst. But to piggyback on that, MIT fed an AI, and what's the real name for that? AI?
Artificial intelligence?
Yeah. They had a machine that they fed it data from Reddit, and it only thought about murder. It kept coming back with murderous responses.
I saw that one as well, and I didn't read the whole thing. I did skim it far enough to understand that it seems like they gave enough data from Reddit. They fed it into this thing that after a computing period, all it wants to do is murder. All it wants to talk about is murder.
It was a study about
I don't know why people were. This is. Oh, sorry, not you. This is dangerous territory. I don't understand why people maybe don't realize how dangerous it is.
It's
Terminator,
dangerous.
man.
Totally.
There isn't. Humans suck. Like, if you were to draw a curve as far as, like, all of the organic living creatures, we're at the top of the food chain. We're also not, like, all that great, in my opinion. As a society as a whole, individuals are amazing. Some individuals are horrible, but the curve. Of course, something that doesn't have those faults is going to have a problem with us. If you're going to go down this road, it's not going to like us in the end. That's my prediction. No matter what, eventually it's not going to be happy with the humans. I totally agree,
but this is a way to study what I talked about in the first one.
Really?
Yes, it's a way of studying algorithms that affect biases.
Then we're talking about quantum thinking and stuff. And is that what you mean?
I'm not sure. How you're using it, I'm not sure, because it's...
All right, well, how does plugging anything into AI do anything for you? I want to know how that can be positive.
They're studying it like they would a person, like a brain. And so they're studying how biases that anyone has affect how you think. And so this is not awesome. Like, they're creating monsters left and right. Except that as humans, we're created monsters left and right from the shit that we've been taken and read and
you're
whatever.
Right. You're right.
So,
I mean, maybe it's just evolution. Maybe computers are the next human. You know what I mean? Because man made the computers, and the computers go. It's still evolution.
Yeah.
You just lose the biological part. It's weird,
yeah,
right?
I think
it's totally weird. All right, well, let's get to the next one because this one's making me uncomfortable.
Okay, well, since Winston was talking about something related earlier, it's pretty funny. I write all these before anyone shows up, so this is right. Windowless planes could become a reality, and they specifically noted that it's Emirates' idea.
I think this was.
Bullshit.
Which part? You don't think it's going to happen? I think it already. I think like we were talking about.
Too much. I ain't getting on a windowless plane.
No. You still see the outside. It's all they're virtual windows. You're still out. All right, because they have it now already on the planes that are big enough that they have outside cabins and inside cabins, like a train or whatever, or a boat, really, I guess. And the inside cabins have the outside windows. They're just virtual. So you know what I mean?
It helps
The inside
with
cabin looks like the outside
claustrophobia.
cabin, and it makes you feel like it. I agree with you. Neurologically, I'm not getting fooled. But if you're just going to nap and it's in the background, it's like kind of having the shades in a cruise in a...
It's super weird. Like, conceptually, it weirds me out, but like it makes
Think
a
about
lot
it,
of
though.
money. It saves time. It's
weight,
yeah,
speed.
all of these things.
It's
they
far more
mentioned.
efficient to not have to have windows on your shit.
Totally.
Think of
and-
how much better and stronger it would be.
And realistically, just to play devil's advocate for humanity, because we are kind of shitty, like you said. I'll use that word. You did not, but it'll calm people down en masse to be like, you can't look out the window, man. Like, just
Well, then it comes into like, it's a beautiful Hawaiian sunset when actually you're spiraling down to your death into the mountains. You know what I mean?
I think
It's one of those
crap.
like you can hack it, and you know what I mean? All of a sudden the windows are going to be advertisements and commercials and fly Emirates and holy shit, I'm over it.
Like the other one, this is just, I'm reading the news. This is not like I didn't write this.
I
like,
also
but
am not
I-
angry at you, so I really don't think that you should take it on from me, and I'm sorry if you are.
You're logical. Unfortunately, I happen to agree that this all seems easier for the people that make shit. So it's like, I do feel like it will happen.
100%. I hate it, and
So
I
it bums
agree.
me out.
We should do that. We should have a segment of things that are about to, predictions or whatever, and whether will it float, but will it work? Will
right.
it work? Will it work?
This will be the first one. I will set up a Google alert for Emirates and see what's up.
Nice.
All right, my real story, my
Okay.
last real story.
Oh,
'cause
it's
I
not going to
did-
be a top 10 number one.
I think I'm going to end on one, so I'm specifically. I have one
Oh.
for that, but I
Well,
want
then this is number 2, right? This is the
Yeah.
last, second to last.
Yeah, second to last. It's
The last one is really more of a segue into moving on.
Yeah. Sharing spaces. Your brain considers other people's personal space as your own. That's the headline.
Well, I don't agree with it, first of all. What are they saying?
Well, they've, again, similarly, like they've broken down and found like where personal space is registered in your head. And I think that the evolution of humanity is yours is mine. Like we're all in the nicest way. It's I'm looking out for everyone, except it means that you're intruding on everyone else's space.
That's what I'm thinking.
But apparently it's in your brain that like, that's mine. I'm protective of that. So I'll react to a
This one's
threat.
tough. I would love to know who the study group was, because I would definitely not fall into that category. I'm incredibly respectful of other people's everything, let alone space.
It's not a thought thing. It's more like your body responds like it's a wired in thing.
But
and it's
some
from,
people can't stand too close to other people because they get uncomfortable. I'm saying it's not a thought thing either. What's the matter?
Nothing. It's from Science Magazine. So
I feel like you're defending the stories that you pick out, and I am not attacking the stories that you pick out. The whole point is to bring stories up and then discuss them.
I don't
If
always.
you don't want to do that, we don't have to.
No, we should. We definitely should. I don't always feel like my point in the discussion is respected, but I feel that way in life, just in general, not you. Like people have
I'm
differences
sorry.
of opinions.
I don't want you to feel that way. That's terrible.
So it's like I'm reading a headline as if I support it, but I don't necessarily. But it's a point of curiosity.
To anyone else, I think we've established that you're just reading headlines. If you're feeling now that you support it, I feel that you're attaching that.
Then I will disconnect that.
No, I'm saying that's my perspective. I don't know how it feels for you.
Either way, I will disconnect it and not think like that.
Sweet.
My number one. is from the Huffington Post, which, is a buoyant.
No qualifiers. We just got to stay with the material.
All right. It's from the Huffington Post, and the headline verbatim says, Jennifer Lawrence reportedly dating non-famous person. It was just like, why is that a headline? Such crap.
Winston's over there. I don't know if are you saying what the fuck or, oh, you are? WTF. He's going like this.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
I thought for a second it was, yes, thank God. Like, we've got a shot.
Some people might think so.
All right. Well, that was cool. All right. So that's what's going on with Mrs. Ryan.
That's what's going on.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Thanks.
Do you feel that that you have ownership of the stories that you chose, and that's why I shouldn't say anything bad about what the stories are? I don't know why you have any kind of attachment to these stories. I thought they got pulled off Apple News or something.
They do, but I only pick stories I find relevant that are not political, because the political shit just overwhelms me.
I don't know what's happening now.
crazy.
You're telling me why you're not choosing political. I'm asking about the stories that you're choosing and why your discomfort arises when I say something like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. And you're like, well, it's not my idea. I'm like, well, I'm not talking to you. I'm not saying you have a bad idea, but you seem to be taking it that way. No?
No.
Okay. All right. Well then, Winston Byrd, a famous trumpet player who I am very, very respectful for. We have a mutual friend, had a mutual friend in Mr. Lew Soloff. You remember that guy? Winston Byrd?
Oh. God. I thought you were talking to all your fangs.
Talking to you. I want to play a clip before you get out of here. I want to play a clip of when Lew Soloff was on my show in high school. Are you all right with that? Can you hear that I'm talking to you?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Oh, I thought you were talking to the.
We've been here already. I'm talking to you.
Oh, yes. Yes, we have.
I feel like I've lost it and everyone else is crazy.
No, I'm with you at this moment.
Okay, cool. Well then, we'll just play this clip, and when we come back, hopefully we're all on the same page. Here we go. Roll it out.
My guest this evening is an extremely accomplished musician. He plays the trumpet, and he's played with the group Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Please welcome New York's Village Marvel, Lew Soloff. Lew, how you doing? Nice to see you. Here, I got a mic for you here. You're gonna clip your mic out too. Hey. Now, I've always wondered, this is an actual toilet plunger, right?
That is an actual toilet plunger, and it
Probably
was
been used.
last used in, no, I've never, no, I have never used this in a toilet.
Oh.
Play a little bit of blues, okay?
Okay, definitely. Blues. It says blues.
I'll show you how you use this too. See, this makes the trumpet sound kind of vocal, like a trumpet by itself. It almost sounds like a voice. That's enough.
Oh, the man.
That's enough.
That was great. That was just wonderful.
Thanks.
Man, that,
There we go. Yeah, the great Lew Soloff, huh? What do you think, Mr. Byrd?
I miss my friend.
Yeah.
I miss my friend.
All right. Well, you want to come talk about him in a minute?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to do a break, and we will be right back here with Winston Byrd. More after this.
Yeah.
And we're back.
Oh, man.
Hello there, Winston Byrd.
Howdy.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Can you hear him okay?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I was going to say, you're I'm not worried about your projection.
No.
Or your mic technique, I guess,
No.
at that point. What you do for a living.
Yes, what do I do for a living?
How long have you been playing trumpet?
Too long.
No, but for real.
For real, I've been playing trumpet professionally. Oh, I'm going to love this. 28 years.
28 years professionally.
28 years professionally, yes. Wow. Yeah. That's a...
How'd you start? Like, was it something you wanted to do, or did your parents get you into it? Or
No, it's something I wanted to do. Back when, the talk show thing was real hip, and you could see anybody on late night,
Oh, I love where we're going.
Yeah, you could turn on Carson and see,
Can we talk about the outfit, though? I'm sorry, just first. First things first. I mean, seriously, how about that?
I raided Doc Severinson's closet before I got here.
Spectacular.
He's probably put a bounty on my head right now.
That's totally
you know?
his style. Not quite his size, I would guess, but it's definitely his style. Man.
No. This was one of the curtains hanging up in his office. So
Honestly, it looks like the old Tonight Show couch or something.
yeah,
right.
right.
Like
No.
that kind of
Actually,
thing.
when they switched out, I went over to NBC and just ripped down one of the curtains from the old
Okay.
set. Just I said, oh, this will make a nice shirt.
This is an interesting segue. We talked about this on the show the other day. You're in the Nasty Delicious, first
Yes,
of all, that band,
yes,
Craig Robinson.
yes.
The Craig Robinson, fantastic band. But you guys were the house band for was it the American Comedy Awards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, back in 2013, I think.
13, 14, something like that?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
It was before that.
Oh, it was before 2012.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, you
Anyway.
would know you were there too.
You were there.
The gist of what I'm getting at, it was a very cool New York vibe. It had like the bridges, it sort of looked like
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live. But you
Yeah.
remember the Johnny Carson rainbow curtain?
Yes.
It was
Yes.
the real Johnny Carson curtain. We found
That's
out.
right.
They got
Yeah,
it.
they brought it
It was
in.
loaned
Yeah.
from the guy who owns it.
Yes, yeah, because the guy he's like he doesn't lend it out, but I think it was like it's worth like $30,000-$40,000.
Oh my God! Wow.
It was
Sure.
like wow. Hold on.
Did you know that then? I don't think I did.
I think I found that because I read about
Okay.
it. Because when David left his show, they did something on
Letterman?
Buzz. Yeah, when Letterman left, there was an article that floated around Facebook on 20 different things you didn't know about late night and stuff like this, and the sets and little interesting little tidbits and stuff like that. I think they threw a bonus one in there. It's like, did you really know that there was a bar behind the stage on Match Game? I was like, of course there was.
Absolutely.
Look at how they acted.
Yeah.
Jeez, they were, especially Richard Dawson. He was
I can't.
juiced.
First of all, I love that people are talking about Match Game again. That was my favorite show as a kid. I watched it every day.
I met Gene Rayburn. What a
He was on the
beautiful guy.
original Tonight Show with the original Tonight.
Well,
with
he
Steve
was
Allen.
he was the original second fiddle.
Yeah,
he
with
was the
Steve
original,
Allen.
and he actually hosted the Tonight Show for a small bit when Alan was on vacation, whatever, and he was actually really great.
I found him very entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
The Match Game, when they did Match Game PM, later
Yes.
on they did the evening version.
Yes.
They were flat out talking
So
about the bar behind
funny.
because they would show up drunk. In the
Yeah.
old days, it was like, the first couple episodes were fine, and then
Yeah.
they'd have their lunch break, which is in the evening.
4-martini dinner break.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody. It's the 70s,
But then when you look at those kind of those kind of entities back then, when you look at like a Paul Lynde, I'm sure they had a bar behind the set of Hollywood Squares. I mean, at least you look at some of the game shows that they had, like Tattletales, where they bring celebrities in. They had a bar behind there because they were having so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was like, but getting back to what you were saying, when you were asking, I would see Dizzy or Freddie Hubbard on either Tonight Show. Even Phil Donahue would have somebody on, Mike Douglas being from Philadelphia.
Yes.
The Mike Douglas Show came from Philly, and I knew all those guys in the band when I was growing up.
Who was his band? I remember Mike
His
Douglas. I don't remember the band.
his
at all.
band had Philly guys in it.
Okay.
Like Michael Pedersen, I believe. Mike Pedersen, all Philly stalwarts that actually
The original Roots.
Yeah, that actually also played on. A lot of these guys also played on the
Sarcasm.
70s stuff that came out of Philadelphia, all the MFSB, Gamblin' Huff stuff. The same guys that were in the Mike Douglas band, like Joe Cataldo, names you had never heard, Rocco Benny. All these guys, Philly was really almost like a tertiary mecca in the 70s and the 80s musically, between, when they say, you got L.A. and New York and all the cities in between. Well, Philly held its own for a good while.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How so? I mean, what
We held
we're talking
up-
about a couple people who came
Yeah.
out of Philly. I
Yeah.
get that. And I mean, like, there's a couple bands in the 90s that
Yeah.
came out of Seattle, but I don't
Right.
think of Seattle as being like this music mecca that just cranks out music, nor do I think of Philly.
Well, when you look at like the 1970s, when you take from maybe 1968, 69 to right around maybe 82, 83 or so, maybe going into the 90s, because I caught the tail end of that. But Sigma Sound, Kenneth Gamble, Leon Huff, they basically, when it transitioned from Motown in the 60s, and then the music was changing, and we got into disco and the whole thing. Then it went to Philadelphia, where you had the Stylistics, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes,
Okay.
the OJs, people like that. And
I didn't know that these, like,
This
the
was
OJs, I didn't know
all-
they were from Philly.
yeah, well, technically they're not. I believe they're from Columbus, Ohio, but all that music was recorded in Philadelphia, Sigma Sound Studios.
Philly
right
was like a spot to go, and you couldn't get to the city. It
Right.
was like it's how culture traveled across the country, and it became different pockets.
And even
of
at that time, when 1976, when gambling was legalized in Atlantic City, then you had the casinos, and you had top flight entertainment. You had Sinatra, you had Diane Carroll, you had everybody coming down there to the Golden Nugget or resorts, whatever. This was the heyday, and the same guys that I mentioned that were doing that did the Douglas show and all, they were working all the casinos, just like Vegas. Every casino had a hotel band, and that was like the heyday. And it's really sad now because Atlantic City is not even a former shell of itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard it was going down anyway.
Yeah.
And Sandy really just kind of like they were
Yeah.
said, well, why do we even bother?
Well, when you build a $1 billion casino and Beyonce headlines it, and 2 weeks later it closes, and it took them at
Yeah,
least
if
2.5
Beyonce
years
can't
to
do it.
Yeah, it took them 2.5 years to find a buyer. They just found a buyer for it now, so they're trying to revitalize it. They're doing everything they can to, but it's just, getting back to it, it was just that kind of thing, and the whole Tonight Show thing as a kid, seeing all that, that's what got me into playing. All of that got me into playing because you could see that at
So your
every
inspiration
corner.
came from late night really as well.
Well, I would beg my mother to let me, stay up and hear the band. And I usually, caught 7 Kinds of Hell because it was like, you gotta get up for school tomorrow. It's like, yeah, but I want to see the band.
But here's the question: like you specifically, then you were a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but you specifically delineated, I want to see the band,
I want to see the
not
band.
the show, not the host. I don't care what he says.
I'll
Like,
tell
I
you
wanna see the
exactly
band.
why I wanted to see the band.
Why?
In the trumpet section, it was 3 white guys and 1 black guy. And the black guy was Snooky Young. I didn't know who Snooky Young was. Snooky Young turned out to be one of my dearest friends all the way up until he died. We met when I joined Clark Terry's band at 17. We became fast friends. I didn't see him for almost 10, 12 years. And then when I moved out here, and like 6 months, not even 4 months after I got here, Gerald Wilson hired me. And Snooky was in the band. I walk into the first rehearsal, and he looks up. He's like, I wondered what happened to you.
Wow.
Oh, it's
Because
cool.
I brought the picture, and I was like, I was coming at him like, remember me? And I didn't even pull the picture out, and he just was
He knew
warming
you.
up. He just looked up at me like, I don't believe this. It's you. Where have you been?
That's so
It
neat.
was
What
one of those
happened
one
to you?
tricks you met one night, had a day, and
Yeah, I mean, when we did Clark's band when I was 17, he really encouraged me, because I had just joined the Stylistics. I was honing into the whole jazz thing. I was honing my section playing and everything. And then once I got into that, it was like, oh, okay. And he really mentored me young. But then we lost touch because I was working my way up in New York, running into Lew, finally meeting Lew once I got up there.
Lew Soloff.
Yeah, and those guys and Faddis and everything. But with Snooky, and then when I came out here, we met up again.
What's the
and
time frame of all of this? Like, when did you meet Lew Soloff?
When I met Lew Soloff, I was 16 years old. I was playing. I was playing in an R&B band called Don't Call Me Francis after the Stripes thing, but the leader of the band
Oh my
was
God,
actually
from
named,
Bill Murray and Harold Ramis.
Yeah, and the leader of the band, his name was Francis actually. And I remember looking in this little trade magazine you could get for 50 cents in Philadelphia, and it'd be like drummer wanted, bass player wanted for a hard rock band. I'm looking through it. I'm 16 years old. I'm soaking up all this music that I'm listening to, and I figured I got to try sometime. And then I see trumpet player wanted for top 40 horn band, Chicago style horn band. Called the guy up. Yeah, man, how you doing? Yeah. And the guy, I swear to God, he looked just like David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
He did. He was a trumpet player too, but he was the lead singer. He really long blonde hair, the whole thing. And I called him up, asked him for a job. He auditioned me and hired me. There were guys twice my age trying to get this job. They didn't get it. I got it. And I stayed there. The deal was with my parents was, you can have this job, but you got to give us a hard C. If you fail, if you fuck up, forget it. You get an F, you're out the band. And at that time, I was pulling anywhere from like $400 to $1,500 a week as a 16-year-old kid.
All the money in the world,
My
man.
folks were loving it.
Yep.
They were like, shit, he can buy his own school clothes.
Yeah.
You're doing sessions at that point?
I was doing periodic sessions for Dexter Wanzel in Philadelphia. Dexter was one of the last producers to come out of Philly International.
Well, where was the regular money coming from?
The regular money was coming from the Francis gig. And,
Oh, I see. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
You know, and it would be, you know, mom and dad like, here, mom and dad, you know. I would, you know, they were like, you know, you're going to pay rent when you get older. You know, I was like, here, just take this, you know. So that was fun. But I ended up doing that, playing in places I was not even supposed to be in.
Did you get your age?
Oh,
Right.
man.
Yeah. I did
But
the same thing in New York when I was a kid.
But it didn't, you know, and
You were supposed to be 18, right?
I was supposed to be 21.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at that time I was supposed to be 21, and I was coming in 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and the deal was have your homework done. I'll take you to school the next day, get your homework for the next day, whatever, you know. And with the blessing of not only my guidance counselor but my band director, who passed away earlier this year, those two guys got together behind my back and said, "We got to get him the fuck out of here."
That's awesome.
And the only other person I think I know who had this kind of story happen to was Jeff Porcaro, who was a drummer for Toto.
This is in a positive way, right?
Yes,
they were like, he needs to.
He's got to get out of here.
This is Goodwill Hunting. They're
this
pushing
is
you
like,
out of the nest.
They're
kind
pushing
of
me
thing.
out of the nest
Yeah,
to
okay.
say he's got to get out of here and go attack the world.
Wow.
And I heard this story once before about Jeff, where he was actually, as he put it, he said he was a schlock in high school. I was a schlock. My mind is like, I remember things I want to remember. People get on me, it's like, how do you remember those lines from movies? Because if it's funny enough, I'll remember it. I know exactly where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with music. I can read it once, it's here. It's not going to go anywhere. I'll remember it. If we don't have any music, play it down for me once, boom, it's here. And I just go with it. Sorry, I was...
Don't be sorry. I could sit here and listen to talk forever.
I know,
If you want me to keep you on, I
no,
can keep you on.
No,
too.
I lost my train of thought just
That's
for
what I mean. If you want me to help, I can
Yes,
jump in.
please.
I don't want to.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're talking about having enough money with your parents. And,
Oh, yeah. So it was just, you know...
You're out the band, hard C.
Yeah, hard C, and just, you know, and I kept that job right up until after graduation, and then it was like, you know, all right, where are you going to go to college? Okay, I think I'm going to go to NYU, you know, study psychology, because my father was like, if you're going to do this music thing...
I like how
why
I think
don't-
I'm going to go to NYU,
Yeah.
one of the best and most expensive schools in
Exactly,
the country
you
for
know.
what you want to do.
Yeah. And my
I
father,
guess.
he had it in my head, you know, it's like, you know, have something to fall back on if you know, with the music thing. And then,
He had that in your head, but did
Yeah.
you do it?
no, because 2 months before I was supposed to show up, I got offered to go on the road with the Stylistics.
Beautiful.
And
I agree. I think you shouldn't have a
it was
backup
like,
plan.
I went
If
back.
you have a backup plan, you're going to
Yeah.
take it, is my opinion.
I said, what do I do here? It's like, well, I said, you know, this is, I didn't want to say it was a once in a lifetime chance, but it was like, let me, you know, you want to go see the world? I said, yeah. Okay. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, college is always there. That was 28 years ago. And every time colleges showed up in front of me, something even more monumental came out of nowhere and was like,
Were you a good student anyway? I mean, if you had to maintain a C, you were probably not the greatest student anyway, right?
no, I hated it.
Yeah, me too. I
You
hated
know,
it.
I hated it.
I couldn't focus on it. Meanwhile, something else I was interested in
Yeah,
that
that had
didn't
you
matter to
focused.
school.
Yeah.
I could write. I could get my doctorate on that subject,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
right. Yeah, because I couldn't. It was like my head. I wanted to be somewhere else.
Right.
I just wanted to be
You
where
daydreaming? You daydream a lot?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Well, also being a band geek, you know, at the time didn't help.
No.
You know, because
Your head's in the charts, right?
Well, heads in the charts. You know, you get picked on too, so you got to, you know.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. From a
yeah.
popularity standpoint.
Yes,
Oh, that's
yes.
interesting.
Yeah. So I mean,
I was in a bunch of bands too, and I got picked on enough, but I mean, you know, who gives a shit? I didn't care. Anybody who was picking on me, I thought was an idiot.
Yeah.
So it was like, I guess, but I expect nothing more from you. So I mean, like, you're just playing your role.
Well, you know, I am one that has the cornerstone of when life gives you lemons, you make the best damn lemonade. So I guess if Hal wants to turn the camera on me, I'd just like to say, all those that picked on me when I was a band geek, thank you, because you made me what I am today. God bless you.
Oh, salute to that.
Yeah, you know?
Absolutely.
Oh, boy, that'll go over.
Well, it's funny you're talking about band and stuff. I have another Lew Soloff clip. I wasn't going to play it because it's actually kind of long. It's like 4 minutes or something. What happened later in that same show was that the band teacher And I went to Wilton High School in Connecticut, which doesn't
I
mean
know
anything
Wilton.
except that they used to have, and I don't know if they still do, an award-winning music program, spectacular music program.
Right.
And the man who was heading up the program back then, by the name of Chip Gall, was a trumpet player as well.
Okay.
And a big Lew Soloff fan.
Right.
And his friend, another trumpet player, was the art teacher, and he was a trumpet player and big Lew Soloff fan. Anyway, it became like the Chris Farley show where these guys, first of all, they didn't want to come in because they didn't want to come in and be on television. Finally, we get them to come in. And then it turns into like, do you remember the concert where, and hey, I picked you up in a Camaro in 1972. And like,
Nerd out so hard.
No,
It's
because you know what, when that
hilarious.
stuff would happen. I mean, when I was still living on the East Coast and whatever, and like Freddie Hubbard came to town, I would pick him up. I remember he came to Wilmington one time. I picked him up and
so
drove
this
him
just
around.
happened. This is like a real, this is a regular thing.
It's a regular thing. Arturo Sandoval came to town. I sat in with him. That was how we became fast friends at 17. When I was 17 and met him.
Arturo Sandoval.
Yeah,
Man, there's some highs there.
I picked him up and took him wherever he wanted to go when I was still living in Wilmington. I would do that sort of thing when someone would come to town. And
We just watched a Letterman with Tito Puente, and Arturo Sandoval was the trumpet player who was with them.
yeah. That's what we would do. When the cats would come to town.
Wow.
And it's so funny now. I'm headed back next week to play the Clifford Brown Jazz Festival in Wilmington, along with my cohort from Wilmington. The Wilmington favorite son's going home, Ernie Watts.
Wow.
Yeah. So from the Tonight Show band.
No
It's
kidding.
Ernie and I are both from Wilmington, Delaware.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So when's the show? You want to plug it?
Let's plug it right now. June 20th.
Soon.
Yes.
Yeah, next week, right?
Wednesday night, June 20th, the
2 weeks,
Clifford
I guess.
Brown All-Star Big Band, comprised of some of the finest musicians in Philadelphia, led by trumpeter Gerald Chavis, who studied with Clifford Brown's teacher. His name was Robert Boise Lowry, who taught Clifford. And Clifford was the amazing trumpet player that he was. Unfortunately, he died early, 25, in a car
holy
accident.
Really?
smokes.
Yeah, if he had lived, he would have probably, he would have been in, would have been in his 90s now, but I think he would have probably taken the instrument in a whole other direction. But when if you ever look at trumpet lineage, I mean, we've had 4 or 5, 24 or 23, 25, 27. And the last one was like Lee Morgan at 33, dying so young. And when I was coming up, I used to think like, am I going to make it? Am I, and I'm looking, I'm like, well, I'm 27. Oh boy, am I going to make it to 30? And I get to 30. I'm like, oh God, am I going to
Wow.
make it to 33? And, but that thing was, it was drugs and that kind of thing, but yet and still, they kind of like, it would rattle me as a kid. It really would, because it's
course.
like, yeah. It was like, man, is this hard life or something? But then when I would get around people like Lew, who I really admired, like Lew and John Faddis and Earl Gardner, those guys, and those guys were into, in their older years, healthy living, because they had fun. Some
Yeah.
of them had fun.
Sure.
And I don't hold that against them. It's like, look, you get one ticket to ride in this. Use it up. Just try not to hurt anybody in the
Right.
process,
Good for you.
But like with Lew, like you asked, when I met him, I was 16. I went up to, my mother took me, let me go to New York by myself. Oh God, that was fun. And I went with a friend of mine who was in a high school jazz band. He drove. I wasn't even driving. Drove all the way up to New York. We went to 7th Avenue. We went to the Village Vanguard. I met Earl Gardner, met the guys in the band. I was like, you would have thought I was standing in, the Basilica in the Vatican or whatever,
Yeah.
just because I'm like, wow, this is the Vanguard. This is all the records that I've ever heard was done here, And then we went to Sweet Basil's and heard
Yeah, the
Gil
Vanguard
Evans.
of the Gate, all
Yeah.
those down there.
Yeah, and we walked right down the street to Basil and we heard the Gil Evans band. And Lew was playing lead in the band that night. And, we were right in front, literally in front
Small
of the
room
band.
anyway, too.
Yeah, it's very tiny.
Yeah.
but they made the best escargot. Oh God, it was so
Really?
good. Yes.
No kidding.
Yes. Sometimes they
You're
would
into
take it
that.
off the menu, but you could still order because people are like, oh, escargot. Oh my God. I'm like, it's actually good.
And you're into that. Cool.
You know what?
Good for you.
Yeah. I get out there a little bit. Not too much.
I don't know. I mean, I eat calamari and lobster and stuff, and there's nothing. There's no difference. You know,
Yeah, there's
one's
no
above
difference.
ground, one's above. So I don't know what my hang up is, but I've never had it. My
Yeah.
dad used to love it a lot.
Yeah,
Love
but
it a lot,
they
that's right.
they made the best. It was really, really good. But we went in there and Lew was playing his ass off as usual. But what was so funny because there was somebody I wanted to meet. I didn't know it was it, but
Lew was somebody you wanted to meet.
Well, Lew was somebody, Earl Gardner, Lew Soloff, but I wanted to meet John Faddis because
okay.
he was the guy. He was the guy. To this day, he's still my hero. He's still my mentor, my guiding light, because I think he's one of the most awesome players, one of the coolest guys. Just when he puts the horn to his lip, it's all business.
Wow.
When he comes up. But Lew was there, and they're playing, and this is how my relationship with Miles Evans, Gil's son, started too, because he's actually talking about putting the band back together too, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Gil Evans band. So he's talking about that. The last time I spoke with him, but Lew's sitting up there playing, and they stop playing, and he talks to Miles. He's conversing with him on the bandstand, and all of a sudden, I see him mouth the words "Faddis." And I'm like, 16 years old, and I like immediately I'm giddy, and I turn around.
It's so great too. It's one of those words like you can tell.
Yeah, you can tell. And I turn around, I look, and here's this big dark figure all the way in the back of the room by where you first walk in. And I'm like, oh my God, it's him. And I lean over to my friend. I'm like, it's him. I sound like SpongeBob. It's him.
Yeah.
It's him. And he's like, all right, dude, go. And I had
16. You're 16,
Yeah, 16.
so you can't contain yourself
And
at
I
that
had
age.
I had made tapes of my playing. This is where I think about you and the clips.
Yeah. When you were a kid.
Yeah,
Sure.
I made tapes. I was that confident enough to make tapes of my playing and try to hand it out. I gave one to Earl. I gave one to Lew. I'll never forget. Lew was like, I'll check it out, man. I promise you. I'm going to check you out, man.
That's pretty good.
I'm going to check you out. And I gave one to John.
That was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool to hear you do that.
Well, no, because it was after that, and then I finally moved at Lew.
No,
and
just
I
even to
stood-
hear the impression was cool. That gave me a little minute.
Well, that
It
was
cool.
like being around him, because not long after that, and then I finally got up to the city. Then we played together. It wasn't long after that we played together.
So he did check you out, man.
I guess he did, because at 18 I was playing on David Murray's big band, tenor saxophone. Was David Murray, great player, wonderful, wonderful human being. And Lew was in the section. They brought Lew in, and I was playing lead, he was playing second. And he looked over, he's like, you look familiar. I'm like, yeah, I met you at Sweet Basil's when I was 16. Winston?
No
I was
way.
like, yeah.
That's
I was
so
like,
cool.
I said,
What a memory.
yeah. And I said, yep, how you doing? And he proceeded to hear me lay it down. And I think the best story out of it, because we would play together. He came and played with us. I was with the Cab Calloway Orchestra. This was, I think, one of the last
Drop
times we
something.
played together. Yeah. We were
Cab Calloway's name.
we were in Birdland, and he came and played, and I was hacking. I was having a good night. I was really having a good night, and I say this with I wasn't missing shit. And he was standing next to me, and he was playing, and every time I would get off a good one, he would just shake his head like, I'll bleed this kid.
Wow.
So it was all over. Everybody swarming the band talking, and all these trumpet geeks are swarming Lew. And I was getting ready.
See, that's what happened on the show. The trumpet geeks swarmed Lew.
They swarmed Lew, and I was getting ready to leave, and I just tapped Lew on the shoulder and say, hey, brother, it was good to see you. I'm going to get on. Wait a minute, Winston. Excuse me, I have to talk to my friend Winston. Could you please excuse me? And left those cats. Proceeded to talk to me. 2 hours later, they were all gone.
Wow.
We were just sitting there bullshitting at one of the tables at Birdland, and he was,
How about your 60? Oh, this was a couple years later.
This was years later.
Okay.
No, this was actually much years later, in my mid-20s, And,
Still, even just
yeah.
playing at Birdland. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not there anymore, is it?
No, it's still there.
Oh,
it's
it is
still
there?
Oh, yeah, I was there all the time. If I wasn't there with that band, I used to be there with.
But it's not the original Birdland.
No, it's
from
not
way
the
back.
original
Okay.
original Birdland. But back when I was there every. I think it was like Monday. Yeah, was it Monday? Yeah, it was every Monday. No, it was every Tuesday night. I was there with the Duke Ellington Orchestra. We held that down for a bunch of years. That was fun.
You got some resume, man.
You know what, man?
Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I do, because my first starring role was in Forrest Gump. I was the feather.
Nice.
Because that's just how it's been for me.
We had another a guest who referred to Woody Allen with Zelig. Is that the name of the movie? But he's the guy who just always, like Forrest Gump, just always happens to be in the right place at the right time, kind of thing. Fly on the wall.
Yeah, I've had certain people ask me, like, dude, how do you end up in these? And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. Sometimes a little bit the spiritual side of me, it's like, hey, I give it up.
Good for you.
I give it up first, and it's just, I look at it as if you just. You try to do the right thing. The world's crazy as cat shit as it is.
Right.
We got too much bullshit out
Crazy
there.
as cat shit.
Yeah, crazy as
it
cat
is.
shit.
I've never
It
heard
is.
that. I like that.
I mean,
It's better than
batshit crazy is one thing, but cat shit crazy is another. I mean, it's just...
I'd rather deal with the bat shit. The cat shit's a whole nother situation.
Cat turds are a whole other thing. And it's just like, I look at the world as it is, and it's like, damn, I still believe one person can get, even if it's just like holding the door for somebody, or somebody sneezes, hey, gazoon tight, that kind of thing.
The moments.
When I go to the bank sometimes, I'll walk in, there might be an old lady coming up behind me or whatever. I'll stand there and hold the door and wait till she goes
100%,
in.
Yeah.
100%.
And they'll look at me like,
It's so funny when people comment about courteousness about holding door. I did that one time to a woman that was in a wheelchair, and it wasn't that long, and people were like, "That was so nice of you." I'm like, "Are you kidding? She's in a wheelchair.
she's in a wheelchair. Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you gonna do?"
Yeah.
Why are we saluting people just being regular good people?
Yeah,
now? All of a sudden it's like, you're above and beyond.
I had one senior citizen
like
say to
crazy.
me, "Is like, I'm gonna get there." I said, "Ma'am, I have absolutely nowhere to
You're
go
done.
today.
I
am
chose
not in
to
a
do
hurry."
this, yeah.
Because I mean, nowadays everybody's, what's the movie Shawshank? Everybody's in such a goddamn hurry.
I
mean,
do that all the time.
Yeah, and it's exactly what it is. I mean, I've learned the difference between going to a New York gig and to a Los Angeles gig. I learned that when I moved here. Going to a New York gig, if you get there 15 minutes before the downbeat, you're early. Yes. If you get there 5 minutes before the downbeat, you're early. Here,
But you show up warmed up?
you're warming up, you're calming
As you're
down,
walking down the aisle,
you're coming in like a speed demon.
Okay.
But you're there. That's all that matters. Here is an entirely different animal, and I actually respect it out here. Have your ass there an hour early.
What?
Yes, I believe that, because
What kind of gigs are we talking about here? Like
we're talking about studio sessions,
Oh, okay.
movie sessions, TV sessions, But I take that with everything, because here it's a different animal. You want to come in with your brain on the right focus, especially when you don't know what's being thrown at you. And
Well, I will say this too. Getting here in Los Angeles is sometimes a very taxing effort.
Yeah.
So if
Cool
you
down
show,
time.
if you show up someplace whenever we have a meeting in Beverly Hills at like a call it 3 Arts or something like that. Yeah, you want to get there a few minutes early just to use the bathroom, wash up or whatever, because getting over the hill is an hour and a half of
Exactly.
nonsense.
Yeah.
It's a different mental animal. Like all the books that are like, show up early and see the lobby and see who comes in and out and
Right.
get the feel of the what. All that's true, except that in LA or any metropolitan area where it takes a monumental amount of time and mental energy to get to where you're going and figure out where to park and do all of that and then get to check in, whatever. It's mentally mind-breaking.
Exactly.
So,
And you have to add that
Center.
part of that time onto when you get into
Yeah.
your chair and you unpack your instruments, and then you have to go.
You can put that down if
oh,
you're
thank
worried
you.
about that.
This is sacred desk.
You're a
Drew,
It's not-
Drew Barrymore stood on this desk
I think it's very cool to think about it that way. Also, it's just a broadcast tool that was used.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine an old radio console that was used in the majors, and then it got retired because it was outdated, and then it got moved down to the minors, and then the little tiny AM stations.
There's beautiful history on this desk. I love it.
For sure, yeah.
You know, this outranked.
But it's just a prop. You know what I mean? All this wood is painted. It's not even real wood. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but you know what? The only other desk that comes in close to this is Henry Blake's desk that they gave away on that episode of MASH. That big oak desk.
Colonel Potter?
No, Henry. This was Henry.
Which one was Henry Blake?
Henry Blake, McLean Stevenson, and they took his day.
Speaking of the match game, that's funny.
Yeah,
he was the one who left before BJ came in.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I've become a huge fan of his from old match games. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the smarter guys too.
And they said something about Match the other day, and I did watch it, but like not consistently. I was a kid, my mother, whatever.
We have them all on the media server if you ever want to go watch them.
When you and I are in a place where like we watch a new show from beginning, like yes,
There's like 300 or 400 episodes of MASH. I don't think we'll make it through all of them.
Stupid Steve is so stupid.
How stupid is he?
You know, and it's just like, well, you know, that goes in with like, well, when you're on the 405 and you get to the Slauson cut off your Slauson. You know, it's just that kind of thing. I don't feel that in today's late night media. I'm sorry. I don't feel the same kind of, you know, where I could sit. I actually go on MeTV and I'll watch the old Johnnies and I'll sit up there and laugh like it was
What do you go
fresh. MeTV. It's called METV. It's called Memorable Entertainment Television. And
Is it on the net? It's on the dial on the television?
I believe, I don't know who, it's on my server, Dish, but I believe it's on all of them.
Because we watch all of that stuff on YouTube, but it's limited what you have because it's not official. It's people have uploaded their own stuff.
Yeah, no. This is they have old Carson episodes that they put up, and I think it comes on at 11 o'clock, and they're just as funny as they were when they first aired.
yeah.
Isn't it great?
But
When you see the old stuff with like
Yeah.
Dean Martin coming in and Bob Hope and any of those guys where they're friends outside of it,
They're
and then you
friends,
get this.
Yeah,
get
and you know
this,
there was a bar behind that curtain.
but they're all just hanging out. You know
Half
what I
of
mean?
them brought it with them.
Half of them brought it with them,
to the
right?
stage, like whatever. But
Plastic
that's-
cups with beer. I remember
Yes.
that and the
That's
cigarette
what's super
ashes.
neat about getting to do it is like we have our friends come back every week or every other week. Or I was talking to Daria. It's like
She's worried about it being too soon. Come back. Come
yeah,
back.
and I'm like, you're my friend. Now it's whatever, but also like we talk about really cool shit that's totally appropriate for the show. It's
Yeah.
like what we write about. Like
Right.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really fun to have those longevity.
Exactly.
That longevity.
I came back to that because the community that Johnny and those guys used to, Mike Douglas used to
Yeah.
have in the old days, Merv used to have, the regulars, and you just kind of have your hang.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's all about promoing and
It's
shouting.
promoing
and
and
it's,
shouting, jumping on the couch and dancing around when you have news that couldn't matter worth of bullshit. And I mean,
so network
I
television
still
has
can't. I
changed.
still can't get that image out of my head. It's like, why did Tom Cruise jump on that couch? Oh, that's right. I forgot. You know, he's probably watching this saying, "Son of a," you know.
He was madly in love.
He was madly in
That's
love.
right.
You know what? I was
Love
trying
that
to
woman.
think. I think the last time I was madly in love, I think I shouted at the moon. I think I did that. Yeah, I was about, you know, if I jumped on anybody's couch, I would have got a Dave Chappelle kind of, you know, welcoming. You know, it kind of, you know.
Whatever. Yeah, Oprah didn't call you to talk about it. It's all different.
Doc Severn actually made a comment about your shirt.
Yeah, he made
We're
a
almost
comment.
out of time.
Oh,
So
we're almost
there's
at-
a couple
yeah.
things I wanted to hit.
Oh yeah. Doc made a comment about my shirt. He asked me if I was raiding his closet.
But with this actual shirt.
Yeah, with this actual shirt. Yes.
You raid my closet?
Yes. But we met at NAMM like a bunch of years ago, and I was scared to death of him. You know?
Really?
Yeah, I was scared to death of him.
For what reason?
Because he was Doc.
Oh, legendary status.
Yeah, he was
of
Doc.
course.
He was like this guy with like, I wanted to dress like him. I thought that, you know, it was like the,
He
you know.
was the band conductor for Carson's
Yes.
band, right?
But he was
Okay.
he was the
Always with
perfect
the loud jackets
yeah,
and all that
the
stuff.
perfect personality. I liked his personality. When he let his hair grow long, I was like, yeah,
In
you
the
know,
70s?
Yes.
Yeah, he had the facial hair. and everything.
Oh man, I was like, I want to be like this guy.
The collars came, and so did the mustache. and the
Yeah,
hair.
you know, that's why I wear these collars. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, man, I wanted to be like him. And when we first met,
You're like me. You're stuck in another generation.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I always say I was born too late.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I remember he had this company that was making his model trumpet. I remember, and you could walk to the different booths at the NAMM.
Oh,
show.
that's why he was at
Yeah.
NAMM.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
sure,
at
he's
NAMM.
selling
So
something,
I'm with one company. I'm with Cannonball. I've been with them for over 10 years now. Wonderful company out in Salt Lake City. Beautiful people. They're another. That's part of my extended family. And he, I believe at the time was with Besson, I believe, Boozing Hawks French Besson, and they were making his model horn. So I went over to try it out, and me being full of piss and vinegar at the time, shot my shot on it and went all over the horn. And a friend of mine who was standing there, who can verify this is like urban legend, he'll probably watch this and be like, "Yup, I was there when it happened."
Leave a comment.
Yep.
Confirm this.
Yep. Well, yeah.
Let us know. Confirm.
If Terrence would, if Terrence watches this, he was there. So I played something. He kind of strolled over to me, and he was like, "Do that again, Doc." He was like, "Do that again." I was like, "Oh shit!" And I did whatever I did again, and just shut it. He was like, "Wait a minute." And he walked over to his trumpet bag and pulled out his horn. Now, his horn compared to all the other horns, all the made horns were shiny and all together. His was put together, but you could see it was customized because it wasn't lacquered, it wasn't, but it was his. And he gives me his horn. I'm like,
whoa,
are you kidding me?
Cool.
And he's like, do that on this. And I was like,
uh-oh.
Okay. And I did it on that. And he's like, who are you? And I was like, man, we got to talking. I was like, you're my hero. I always wanted to dress
I play like
you.
this because of you.
And your boy Maynard was my hero. You guys were on Barnett's band together, and we saw each other again at the International Trumpet Guild a couple years ago in Anaheim, and he remembered me right away. There's pictures on Facebook. Oh my God! And then he's like, where are your sunglasses? He had his sunglasses on. I was like, I didn't bring them. We were going to take a picture. I was like, shoot, I should have my sunglasses. I'd have been cool like Doc, But,
so now you always carry two pair.
Well,
came in with options.
Because sometimes I like these and
they go with the whole.
Well,
thing.
these are Porsches, so it's.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So,
there you go.
Yeah,
that matches the set and everything.
Matches the decor,
All right, one last thing. Do you know a fella named Michael Dolphin?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I believe he's still in part with the Central Avenue Jazz Festival.
You're exactly right. Yeah, his dad, I believe, created it or started it or owned it or something or other.
He was heavily involved.
Heavily involved in some way.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of yours too, though. He's a friend of ours in the Porsche community and in life, and we had him as a guest on the show. And you came up.
Right. Yeah, we used to do when Gerald's band was playing. We did that every year. We always close out. Yeah, we always closed out the festival. That was fun. That was always a lot of fun. And in the heat, and that place. I mean, we would play literally almost in front of the Dunbar Hotel. And when we would play, you just see a sea of people all the way back. And it was always a nice way to close out the festival.
It sounds awesome.
When we were there, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Great days back then doing that.
What do you got coming up? What's going on with you, and how do people keep up with what you're doing?
Okay, well, what's going on? Well,
because you're not big on social, right?
I am right now. My manager's kind of running my social media right now because
that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I haven't really had a chance to touch it because I've been involved with a whole bunch of other stuff, and there's a time where you gotta you got work to do. There's social media, work to do, social media.
No excuses.
Oh, no.
I just mean like what? How do people keep up with you? How do they find you and know what you're doing?
They can find me at winstonbyrd.com. The new record that's been out, Once Upon a Time, called Right Now. It's been out, been doing well. I've been advised that, son, you better get a band together because you got to take a band out on the road to support this record. I'm like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Are you thinking about that?
Well, yeah, because you're going from pretty well-paid sideman to headache as band leader.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
And, I try to cut down on, the migraines as much as possible.
Yeah, when your name's on it, all of a sudden the responsibility is...
Yeah, and, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's cool to step out there and like, okay, I'm the front man. But I've always... like being, part of the team, whatever. I mean, it's nice to step out front. I don't mind it.
You wanted to make an album.
Yeah, I wanted to make an album. It's nice to step out sometimes, but I also like just, I like being an Indian too. It's nice to be a chief.
Why don't you? What about going out with somebody else?
Oh, I love it. I love going out with.
But I mean, co-headlining. I mean.
Yeah,
that's it. Hell of an idea. I got an idea sound over there.
Yeah.
Ding.
Yeah,
I have some ideas too. I'd love to talk about this more.
Yeah, I mean, it's like co-leading. Is fun too because you only have half a headache.
That's what I'm getting at, though. Then you share it, and then the pressure's off and on at the same time. You know,
Yeah,
at least
but
you're
also when
sharing
you
it.
come together, you can solve problems, you know, as opposed to,
Yeah, as long as you're with
okay,
somebody you
I got to
trust.
juggle all this and everything. And then, you know, however big the band is, you have all these separate personalities
Yeah.
that you have today. It's not only, you know, mental, it's psychological as a band leader and stuff like that. And one thing I would say, you were nice enough to say, man, you know, what a resume. I've learned so
mean that.
much from each band leader that I've worked for, good and bad. You know, well, no, I don't want to say they were bad band leaders. You know, that you know, everybody did their own thing.
It's
but
okay,
I learned,
it's all right.
Yeah, I learned from each and every one of them in all facets and genres of the music. When I would go out with them, there was something I took away from being in that band.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, that I would learn something, and I would take it with me for the rest of my journey. I would learn, you know, something.
Very cool.
But
Winston Byrd, you're awesome.
no,
You're awesome,
I'm just
man.
trying to be cool. But
You're going to come back, right?
yeah, I'll come back. But
Was this painless enough that you will come back?
yeah, I'll come back. I'll come back. But
Did you have fun with all this?
Yep. It was great.
During the break, you were geeking out a little bit about, like, this is really the real stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's not. It's really the real stuff.
Yeah. Oh, but before I forget, yeah, June 20th
Yep.
in Wilmington. This Friday, actually, I'll be playing with Keith Harris, who is the MD for Black Eyed Peas. I do a lot of session work for him.
Okay.
Cool.
He's he actually
Is this something out, though, that people can go see? Or?
yeah, at the Sayers Club in Hollywood.
Cool.
He's finally doing his project.
great room.
He's one of the great producers here in Los Angeles. Producers for Liz Wright, Megan Trainor,
That's the one-
Goopoly.
But that's the place you go in, like, through the hot dog stand or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
go
yeah.
in, like, through the back door, and
Yeah,
then
but
you're in
once
this
you get in
beautiful
there,
room.
yeah,
Like, it's
like
incredible.
a huge Art Deco room.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I'll
So
be
that's
pl-
Friday night.
That's Friday night at 11.
Tickets probably
just-
still available.
I think you just show up, I believe, because
Okay.
it's a late night show. Stuff off of his new record that's coming out. But I do a lot of session work for him. He was another turning point guy when I went on the Tonight Show.
All right, we're wrapping it up. You got to come back and tell me this story.
Oh, the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon? I got to tell you, you sure? Do we have time? I'll make it quick.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. The night that changed one of the nights that changed my life.
So this is the opening, so
Yeah.
we should open with this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I get a phone call from Keith. He's like, I want you to do the session for me. Okay, I go over to do the session. It's this really heavy horn thing, kind of calypso thing. And I'm like, who is this for? It's for Megan Trainor. I was like, really? He said, yeah, this is for the Peanuts movie. Only when I'm dancing. So I did the horn arrangement. He and the drummer, her drummer, did the rhythm arrangement. I did the horn arrangement for this tune. And this was big because it was like, holy shit, I just wrote something and it's going to be on a movie soundtrack. But then I get a phone call 2 days later saying, Winston, you have to get to New York. We're going to need you because Megan's going to go on and do her song for the Peanuts movie. So we're going to bring the tracks, all the tracks you did, because I did all the trumpet and trombone tracks. We're going to get some guys there. Can you write out the score? So I wrote everything out. We had 3 trumpets, counting myself, and 1 trombone. And then I remember the trombone player coming up to me. He's like, did you write the charts? I said, yeah. He's like, dude, that old school shit was cool because I would sign my name on the very last bar, just my signature, and just something I saw the old heads used to do with their arrangements. He was like,
Signing
yeah.
your work, of
Yeah.
course.
He was like, that was so dope. So we rehearsed the tune like 4 times. And before I got there, I remember stepping out of the cab, and it was just like the scene from The Rookie with Dennis Quaid when he gets out in front of Arlington, the ball field at Arlington. I'm standing out. I get out of the cab, and I almost started crying because it was like NBC Studios, Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm here. I'm not in Kansas anymore. I'm not in Philly anymore. I'm not in New York. I'm not where I was before I got here.
Right.
And social media exploded. Everybody was beautiful. I was scared to death. We rehearsed it about 4 times. I remember her parents were very nice to me. They're like, wow, you really can play. I was like, this is Megan Trainor's parents. They're very nice people, very beautiful people, very nice. We recorded it. I remember asking, I said, can we get a picture together? And she was like, no, I'm not made up right now. She was like in her sweats and everything, rehearsing. But we'll get it later. And this is what told me what was so cool about Megan. When we were all standing around, at the end of the show and everybody, they're running the credits.
At the end, you notice that? You're going to get a ticket, bro.
I know I'm going to get a ticket. At the end when they roll the credits and they got the band and everybody who was the guest and everybody's
Yeah, of
waving
course.
and everything. She's up there and she's hugging him. I'm standing over there with Keith and everything. literally, when they cut, she let go of Jimmy and said, Winston, come on, let's go take that picture. I was like, you're cool. You're absolutely cool. I mean, you're younger than me, and you're absolutely cool. And the culmination was it took forever to get the hell out of New York City, and because you tape early. By the time I got to my car, it was like 8:30, and now I have to get back to Delaware by 11:30, and I'm trying to get down the Turnpike. Do you know I walked in just as the Tonight Show was coming on, and you know how the old MasterCard commercials, this, $100, this,
Priceless.
$50. Watching yourself play on the Tonight Show with mom and dad, priceless.
Well done.
Nice.
That was a very nice wrap up.
You know what?
I'm serious. It was long, but my
I
goodness,
know,
you
I
really
know,
got there in the end.
You know
though.
what?
You delivered.
When I leave this planet, I hope that my maker will let me get to see some of the things that I got to do. That's one of the things I would like to see.
You want to watch it through the window, right?
I want to watch it on big screen with what is that stuff? The IMAX. I want to see it just happen.
See, for me, it's like Scrooged, where they're looking in the window. Like I want to watch you watching it with your parents. Like for me, that's it. I want to watch through the window. Like, sitting there with
they were already in bed, and I went in the bedroom and I sat at the foot of the bed. And we're sitting
even
up there.
better. That's adorable.
And what was so beautiful was my mother would go. She'd look at the TV. She'd go, and it was like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm in the TV set."
That's cool.
She would but what really warmed my heart was just seeing their faces, because they sacrificed so much for me to get just here.
All right, you're getting emotional now.
You know,
I can
and
see
I
it.
mean,
all right, thank
I'd
you,
like
parents.
to say,
thank you, parents. Say hello to your mom.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. You know, but I got to give them theirs.
No, here, go to the camera there. Go ahead.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I stood like this, but not for long. No, I'm sorry.
I'm sure that was a personal thing, and it was probably a very nice. No, it was probably a very nice salute, right?
Oh no, that was Curly Howard.
Oh, gee whiz!
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming over here.
Thank
man.
you.
Thank you for having
Thank
great
you.
stories. Thank you for giving us your music all these years.
Oh man, somebody told me your best days are still in front of you, Winston. I'm like, cool, okay. As long as I keep hair dye in my hair, I'll be all right. You know?
Who cares about that shit?
Yeah, right.
All right, Mrs. Ryan. Tomorrow we've got Breakfast Club, and let's see, Monday on the show, Vincent Martella, Phineas of Phineas and Ferb.
To catch up with him.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Cutest.
Tuesday,
My friend
Stacey
Stacey.
Ackman. Is it just Ackman or Ackerman? It's just Ackman, right?
Ackman.
Okay, I thought I wrote that wrong. And I will play the Lew Soloff with my parents.
I was going to say, if you want to keep going down the thing, and next week we'll be having Charles Nelson Riley.
And if he was still alive, I'd be going.
I think he is still alive.
No,
yeah,
seriously,
because he's doing voices for SpongeBob.
Are you serious?
Yeah, him, Tim Conway. The only one on the show that's not here anymore, unfortunately, is Ernest Borgnine, who played Mermaid Man. But Conway's still around, and Charles Nelson Riley is the voice of the Dirty Bubble.
Wow.
On SpongeBob. Yeah.
Wow.
And he still talks
with
with
that
that lisp.
SpongeBob references.
Oh, you know what? I love SpongeBob.
All right, we got to get out of here. Love everybody. Love you, Mrs. Ryan. Love everyone at home. And you know what? Actually, I'm just going to play that clip on the way out, and people can watch it or not. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Next week.
Bye-bye.
Oh, well, look at this. This is. Wait, you come on. This is Mr. Zellner. You want to come on? No, he doesn't want to come on. This is Mr. Zellner. He's also a trumpet player.
Hi, Mr. Zellner. How are you?
Doing Lou.
Okay.
From at Danbury State College about 1969.
Wow, that was when the band was really.
Yep.
That was when the band was really happening.
That.
I remember that.
Good show. David Clayton Thomas. Packed house at Fieldhouse up at Danbury, Western Connecticut State College up in Danbury.
Was that the night of the blizzard?
We'll see you later, Mr. Zellner.
Nope.
If you don't want to come on, you can't talk to Lou. Come on.
Maybe I'll sneak Mr. Gall on. He's out here too.
Is
Boy,
he out
there was a blizzard.
Oh, come on. You don't have to play. No, this will be great. If we can get him to come on, this will be Chip Gull. He's the music teacher here at the high school. Can we get him on?
They ran.
Oh man.
This is actually on TV, isn't it?
What's
At
that?
some point.
At some time, sure.
But I will never see it. It won't be on.
I will definitely give you a tape.
But it will never be on in the.
Do you have
in my,
Cablevision?
Yeah, I do.
Is it Cablevision?
Yes.
It very well might be then.
Oh
I
boy.
don't know. I don't know the rules.
Well,
Our
once
producer ran out to go get Mr. Gull, so I don't know what to tell
I'll
you.
tell you, once I was in an Italian restaurant hanging out with Chuck Mangione, and we were just playing some tunes
Hey,
together
they're
for
coming.
fun.
Great.
All right.
Hey! Some cool cat. Here, you want to just dump that, get off the orange chair, and give them the orange chair.
How you doing?
Pleasure, it's a pleasure.
Mine.
Hi.
Hi.
Just for fun, we've got
How are
leather
you?
jackets on, the whole thing, you know.
And look at me. Look at me. I'm not dressed.
Here,
But
you
you're
two
real
can just
jazz,
pass this
you're
back
real
and forth.
jazz. We'll just pass
How
the
are you?
mic amongst us. How you doing?
Like your tie. I like your tie
How are
very
you, Mr.
much.
Gull?
Thank you. Student gave it to me.
Man, what happens on this show? How are you guys?
Well, we were
I'm
just
glad
driving
you
down
came
the
in.
street, you know,
How
ready
could
to go
you
to
miss it?
Orem's Diner because we heard the pizza was terrible here, so.
Oh, yeah, we ordered pizza. Do you have questions for Lou? I don't know.
Do you remember that concert up there? So many concerts so long ago, I know.
Yeah, but 1969 was kind of. I remember there was a blizzard somewhere. I mean, not a blizzard, but a snowstorm. We couldn't get out. I think it was Danbury.
Was it Blood, Sweat, and Blood,
Yeah,
Sweat, and Tears?
we went to see them. At that time, it was just a really happening album along with Chicago and
We
other
took the
groups.
train up.
Yeah. And it was up
And
to
I-
Danbury, and it was a cold night. I recall it might have been like the spring, or not the spring, but the winter of 1970. Actually, 69 going into 70. I can't recall, but it was just
Or
when
68 going into 69.
yeah, possibly that also.
That was the one.
Yeah. But I know that the band was not all that well known yet.
No, well, I think
It
that
really
was the
was
blizzard.
not that well known yet,
I think it was the blizzard.
and they were trying to drum up business. I remember my wife was a student at Western Connecticut State College. They were trying to actually drum up business to get ticket sales up for BS&T because the band still was new, and the album had just come out, and it was just starting to happen.
And
at
we
the
were
time.
trudging through the snow after the concert.
it
We
could
could
be.
not go back to New York. We had to stay over in the student dorms.
This was
We
at
couldn't
Westcon?
get out.
Yeah, WestCon.
We couldn't get out.
Yeah.
I think it was Danbury.
Yeah.
Do you remember University of Connecticut, 19... I think it was 1980. You came.
I
and
was
did a-
gone.
You did a.
I was gone from there in 1973.
But you
Oh,
came
me.
and did a concert with our jazz band, and you did solo for Soloff and a bunch of tunes. I was. Oh, sorry,
Yeah, hold
Ryan.
that up a little bit.
Sorry,
there you
Ryan.
go. Hey.
I've met Mr. Soloff before once. He probably
Yeah.
doesn't remember me, but I picked you up in Hartford at the train station with a guy in a white Camaro, and we drove to Yukon, and we did a rehearsal and a concert that night. And you
And I
played
did
you
the-
played solo trumpet. You did solo for Soloff. and a few other
Well,
tunes.
I'll never forget the piece Soloff because it's really hard.
Sure is.
And I don't like
He
to
was a
play
whaler.
it because it's too hard. It's a good piece.
Well,
it's written by the great
as-
Manny album, but it's too hard. I like to. I've gotten much more into wanting to improvise than play written notes that I have to play exactly the same way each time. I like to have a kind of a skeletal structure that gives me a lot of freedom. I'd much rather have that than have a very structured written part.
Well, people, from what I recall, he didn't make it sound hard at all. It sounded real easy when he played it.